let the other 10 guys worry about the other 10 guys on the offense. So I think he can step up. I think he has the ability to be that guy, especially with Malik Fleming leaving. Obviously, he transferred this year, so hopefully Siobhan Ravel can step up. He is my number 3.
I think Siobhan Ravel has some of the biggest upside of any player on this roster. I think that, for me, size, speed, his ability to jump, he's the all-conference guy waiting to happen if he can put it together. So good pick there. And cornerback position, major question mark when you look at that spot right now. But I think he's definitely a leading candidate to step up there. All right, number 3 on my list, I go back to offense. We'll stay there. For those that are just getting audio, we're running down our top 5 most important ECU football players to step up in 2023. I think we're back now on YouTube and Facebook potentially. And so I've gone over Jalen Johnson and Parker Moore as 2 of my top 5. Walter Stribling is my 3rd, and it's another offensive lineman, another guy who's been in the program now 3-4 years. It's his time to step up. You've developed in the weight room. You know, we're going to talk to a guy here shortly in Garrett McGhin who has stepped up and developed in the weight room over his time at ECU, became a contributor. I'm interested to get his take on what allows an offensive lineman to make that jump late in their career, and I feel like Walter Stribling is that guy. He's a potential starting right tackle. He'll probably complete with one of the Akron transfers coming in, but it just feels like it's his time, much like with Taylor Jackson on your list. Guys who have been in the program 3-4 years now, those are the guys, as you lose players to graduation, it's their time to step up. So I've got Walter Stribling along with Parker Moore. I'm keeping a close eye on the offensive tackles.
Yeah, you clearly are. So I know part of that is due to 4 of the 5 offensive linemen graduating. Do you think you even valued offensive line a little more solely because of the fact that Shankweiler is now no longer that offensive line coach, and we're going to need that leader to step up, especially with a new coach coming in?
I mean, that's the thing, too, is I like Alan Mogridge, the new offensive line coach. Really liked him in the spring, but with that, with the new coach, you almost kind of get a reset there. And if you're Walter Stribling, you're on even playing field, especially with guys. You are bringing transfers in, but you got guys moving on, and you have a new coach. So it's almost like a clean slate. This is your time to kind of prove it. So really looking forward to seeing what both those guys can do for sure as we continue down this list. Run over your list as well that we've gone over to this point for those that are just getting audio.
Yeah, so if you missed it, I had Mason at 1. Kind of, I guess, in a way, it goes without saying. I took that one from Igoe. We tried not to have any of the same guys on our list. That way we can bring 10 different players to you. And I got my homework done a little quicker. So I got to steal Mason. I had Tyree Jackson, the linebacker, at 2. And I had cornerback Siobhan Ravel at 3. So moving on to my number 4, I've kind of got a 2 name here because we're not 100% sure who's going to win that battle. But I have the center position. So I have Hampton Ergel as my number 1. Ryan Beckman, one of those Akron transfers. If he does win that job, then he slots into this number 4 spot. And it's partly because we lost so much on the offensive line, but another reason is the fact that when you have a new quarterback, you need a center to step up. There's so much that goes into the game pre-snap in the year 2023. If this was the 1970s, I may have not had an offensive center specifically on this list. Who knows? I may have. But there's so much that goes into that. Center sees so much. Avery Jones was so good at that. And had Trent Holler still been on the team, from what I had understood from the coaching staff, he was very much between the ears a very high IQ football player. Unfortunately, Trent's no longer here. Unfortunately, Avery is no longer here. So it looks like Hampton Ergel is going to have to be that guy. And sometimes a center is actually the quarterback's true best friend because they can help them out with a lot of things. So I think Hampton needs to step up and be that guy to help Mason Garcia out.
I think we're going to see Trent Holler in a Marshall uniform on September 9th inside Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. So that'll be a little tough, but so be it. And, yeah, good picks there. Anybody on the O-line at this point is a fair pick. All right, going back to my list, number 4. This is a bit off the wall, but a guy I'm super high on. He is sophomore outside linebacker Samuel Danka, and he played special teams last year. He's an athletic specimen, and what does this defense need more than anything outside of coverage? I think they need some pass rush. 6'5", 220 off the edge. They've really been grooming him to be kind of a future pass rusher type, and this may be a year too early, but I really like Samuel Danka. I love his upside. He looked good in the spring. Spring game, had a couple sacks, and for me, he's the best pass rusher in terms of like just length, speed, how you draw it up. So I'm going with Samuel Danka. I don't think he'll be a full-time starter, but I see him as kind of a part-time third down specialist. So he's my number 4.
And sometimes those are the guys that need to step up the most.
Yeah.
When you only get on the field every now and again, those are the guys who really need to step up for using a special role. My number 5 guy is Mason's going to need some weapons, and a lot of guys left. Obviously, you have Jalen Johnson here. I try and stay away from position groups where you have a lot of the guys get on the field. I try and stay away from running backs, try and stay away from wide receivers, tight ends. But I did put Josiah Hatfield on this list because we have seen Josiah Hatfield in those spurts, but we have not seen him as consistent as he needs to be. But I definitely think he has the potential to be that number 1 target for Mason Garcia, and a young quarterback needs that favorite guy, that go-to guy at all times, and Josiah Hatfield can and I believe will be that guy for this team.
So I've done this list in written form for like 3 years now, and I think I've had Josiah Hatfield up there every single year. He would have been Mason Garcia and Josiah Hatfield would have been my 1 and 2 on my list, and I came up with kind of some different guys, so we didn't have some repeats here. But yeah, I'm a big Josiah Hatfield fan. A lot of it is just availability. He's got to stay available, and he's got the explosiveness to do some damage. All right, number 5, our last player, another guy who's kind of off the radar but has been in the program. His name is Kingston McKinstry. He is a third-year defensive back. He's had trouble as far as staying healthy in the past, but had a really productive spring. You saw the last few years we've seen Gerard Stringer, Jair Wilson make a ton of plays from kind of that nickel/hybrid linebacker spot in the defense, linebacker safety spot. Well, Kingston McKinstry and North Carolina transfer Rod Dilworth are kind of the 2 new guys to watch in that role going forward. And I really like McKinstry's skill set. It's just he's got to stay healthy. So a lot of these guys, and really all 10 of them, Philip, have been in the program, have developed. Now it's their time. So I think you see a common theme there. Of course, we talk always about the transfers and the freshmen, but the guys who are in the program, who know the culture, this is kind of their time to shine. And if ECU wants to kind of surpass expectations this year, I think this is a group of players that needs to step up.
They do. And, you mentioned that we talk about the freshmen, talk about the transfers, but a lot of times the freshmen and the transfers go as the vets go. And if these 10 guys, as well as a few others, do not step up, where is that? Where are the transfers going to step up from? I mean, yeah, that might give them more opportunities, but if they don't have a guy who's been in the program, especially when you have an established coaching staff, yes, there was a little turnover this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but, this is still an established culture, the head coach that's been here for a handful of years now, so you need the guys that he recruited or that he brought in. We had to do a few past transfers on this list, but, guys that have been here and seen what Pirate football means and what it means to be a Pirate to step up. Otherwise, I don't see the other guys having much success if these 10 guys are not doing what they need to do.
All right, let's get our first break in. On the other side, we'll catch up with a former Pirate, Garrett McGhin, recent XFL champion. We'll talk to Garrett. On the other side, you're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Atavola in Greenville is your local marketplace. Atavola offers diverse menu selections, casual lunches, and family meals ready to go. At Atavola, they specialize in the creative use of fresh ingredients, seasonal menu selections, and fun culinary creations that will satisfy even the pickiest taste buds. Treat yourself to lunch or dinner at Atavola, and make sure to join them in the bar on Saturdays from 4 to 11 with friends to enjoy the limited menu that includes many of your favorites. Atavola, Red Banks Road, Greenville.
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Common.
This year's acts include The Embers, featuring Craig Woolard, June 29th.
For more details and a full lineup of bands, go to concertonthecommon.org.
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Common.
This year's acts include the Leonard Skinner Tribute, Tuesday's Gone, July 13th.
For more details and a full lineup of bands, go to concertonthecommon.org.
I'm in the studio with my friend Sproul Alexander, who is the Senior Vice President for Town Insurance. And Sproul, people keep coming to Town Insurance. Tell us why.
Henry, it's really simple. It's because of our insurance knowledge, our product choices, our ability to service our clients, and our community involvement.
That's true. We see Town Insurance everywhere. But now let's talk about the choices. What kind of choices are there? What kind of insurance do you handle for people?
Our choices are endless. No matter what kind of insurance that you may need, we can handle it for you.
And we're talking about business, we're talking about health insurance, we're talking about home and auto, the whole gamut.
Yes, sir.
All right, so folks, come to town. That's Town Insurance. And tell us the telephone number they can reach you.
252-756-8300.
And the website?
towninsurance.com, town with an E.
Got to put that E on the town. Folks, now is the time to come to town. Town Insurance.
At U.S. Cellular, you can get a new phone for $830 off, no trade-in needed, which means you don't have to trade in your old phone for a new one. That must sound really good to you, guy with a junk drawer.
I'm just going to sell it to my sister.
That's a twist.
Who am I kidding? It's going right in the junk drawer.
Get $830 off any phone, no trade-in needed. U.S. Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Spring is here and summer is right on our doorstep. We're all looking forward to outside and enjoying the warm weather and long days. Let the team at Cellular Warehouse help you start enjoying these days by eliminating the 2 to 3 hour wait in the local store. They come right to your home or office and handle all of your cellular needs. Best of all, their front door service is free of charge. Call Toby Williams today at 252-799-7051 and let his team start making life easy again. That's 252-799-7051. Cellular Warehouse, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igoe. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. Having some solid NFL discussion in between breaks. Philip Pilkington in studio. With us on this Wednesday, June 7th edition of Hoist the Colors, we just talked about some current players on the Pirate football team in our first segment. Let's talk to a former player, one of my favorite interviews of all time. He is Garrett McGhin, fresh off an XFL championship with the Arlington Renegades. Garrett, how does it feel to be a champion, man?
Steven, just want to say it's a pleasure to speak with you again, brother. Miss you, dog. Feel like it's been way too long, but, man, it feels absolutely incredible, especially just the way the season started and everything like that. We're kind of a little rocky there, but the boys got hot at the right time, and it was an amazing feeling.
Obviously, you've been, around in the NFL for several years, and then you played in the USFL as well. What was the XFL experience like, Garrett, this year? And kind of walk us through maybe what were some of the differences and some of the pros, maybe some of the cons as well of being an XFL player.
Man, honestly, it was truly amazing. You're around a lot of guys that, have kind of been through similar situations as well as you, being on NFL teams, being released, and guys that just had that fire in them to just show, like, hey, I can still do this at the highest level. So, man, it was honestly incredible. Some of the most fun I've had playing football, being out there in Texas and competing and just having fun, dude, it was incredible. Some of the pros was honestly just still being able to play the game that I love and I grew up loving, was just surreal feeling. You kind of take a step back and know, hey, man, I'm truly living out of my childhood dream of playing professional football. So that's probably one of the biggest pros. And cons, man, there wasn't too many. I mean, it was the USFL and the XFL have both done a great job of making it as much as the NFL as they can. Obviously the pay and the stage is a little bit different, but as far as the day-to-day operations, whether it's athletic training or football operations, player personnel, everything like that is pretty top tier.
Risen with Garrett McGhin, former ECU offensive lineman who did it all for the Pirates, center guard tackle. Was often the mouthpiece of the football team from a media perspective. We always relied on you, win or lose, Garrett. So it's always good to catch up, man. And so you shared a locker room, I know, with Josh Hawkins. I know he got hurt earlier this season, but also a former Pirate as well. Do y'all, share any ECU football stories when y'all were in the locker room together? What was it like being on the same team with another former Pirate?
It was awesome, man. As soon as I walked in from day one, we looked at each other. We're like, hey, just started, doing a little purple and gold chants back and forth. So it was awesome. Josh is such a great dude and just such a charismatic person and energetic and a great locker room presence. But as far as ECU stories, man, we always talk about that UNC dub. I mean, that's one of my fondest memories at ECU, and just, talking about when was the last time he was back in Greenville and if he still talks to anybody from the team and stuff like that. So got to share a couple stories like that, and that was incredible. Felt terrible for him when he got that injury, but he was very energetic throughout the entire process, had great spirits and everything like that, and just continued to be a great locker room guy and a great teammate.
Garrett McGhin played at East Carolina from 2014 through 2018, and of course went on to the professional ranks where he's still playing now. Garrett, I want to go all the way back to your recruitment. So you were initially committed, was it South Alabama?
Yes, sir.
Let's. I remember talking to you after you flipped to East Carolina. So walk us through. Obviously, you're a Tallahassee guy from Florida. You know, what led you to choosing ECU and making that decision to come to school up here?
Oh yeah, man. That feels like freaking forever ago. But I was committed to South Alabama. What a lot of people don't know is committed to South Alabama to play 2 sports, football and baseball. And during the recruiting process, I told them, I was like, hey, probably going to take an official visit to East Carolina, and they were absolutely terrified. They were like, is there anything we can do we want you to come here that weekend, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, they were fond of me early on in the recruiting process, so I'm going to go check them out. And then came up there for the Tulsa game when Amos had that 100-yard pick six, and the place was electric, and I just felt like home. And after that trip, I knew instantly when I got on the plane back to come home, I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go, Mom. And called South Alabama and told them the terrible news, and then called East Carolina and told them the great news, and it was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, we had Deshaun Amos a few weeks ago on, so that's a cool story there. And Garrett, when you look at your baseball career, did you ever try and convince Cliff Godwin to give you a spot on the team to let you get some at bats?
No, when I first got there were talks about it, and then because the other coach Godwin had got fired, and then Cliff came on, and I was just like, yep, finally realized what it really took to play my position on the football field, and I was only weighing 250, 260, so I was like, yeah, I need to bust my tail in the weight room and spend as much time in there with Coach Connors as I can. I can't be focusing on playing baseball while still trying to become 300 pounds. So kind of knew that door had closed pretty quickly, and honestly, I think it was truly a blessing in disguise, honestly.
Yeah, I still marvel at the fact that some guys are able to pull off the 2-sport regimen, because it just seems like it'd be nearly impossible given what it requires these days. Kind of a year-round job, basically. So, but either way, Garrett, obviously you played a tremendous amount of time at East Carolina. You developed early in your career. So we were having a discussion earlier about some offensive linemen who have been in ECU's program now, 2, 3, 4 years. They've redshirted, they've developed, kind of like you did, and then they grew into starters and contributors, and we're waiting to see if they will do the same here. What's kind of the biggest jump an offensive lineman in that stage has to make, going from a guy that's developing to playing for the first time?
I think the biggest thing is confidence. During that development time, you don't spend a lot of time getting actual game reps, so it's kind of hard for you to truly be comfortable in not only your new atmosphere, but your body as well. During that development process, you're putting on weight, you're getting bigger, you're getting stronger, you're getting faster. So it's to be able to go out there and have those reps, and there's nothing like having actual game reps. You can feel confident in practice, but I don't care what anybody says. If they don't get a little bit nervous before they go out there on game day, then they're lying. So for those guys to get game reps is so huge, and also to be able to have success. ECU's football program is truly turning around. Coach Houston's doing such a great job, and I think guys believing in the culture and seeing that things are successful when they do things the right way is some of the most important aspects and attributions to not only development as a college football player, but as an offensive lineman as well, because a lot of people don't understand offensive lineman to me, or in general, is just the most unique situation, because if you think about, wide receivers, running backs, DBs, if they mess up, what's the worst thing that can happen? You give up a touchdown, right? We mess up, we can get somebody hurt bad and can affect somebody's career. So it's a whole different type of pressure up there up front. So anytime you can get a young guy that has now worked into his body, his development, and also have that confidence of being successful, I think it allows for a successful player.
We're visiting with Garrett McGhin, who experienced a little bit of everything at East Carolina. I mean, you experienced the highs, the lows. You played every position. up front. I mean, when you look back at your career, I'm sure it's hard to summarize, but, are there any standout moments that you really still cherish to this day, or the relationships I'm sure stand out? Just walk us through your time as a Pirate, from the front to the back.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, East Carolina is home, and I have so many great memories there. And there's so many great things that stick out to me, whether it's beating NC State at home for my second career start, or like beating UNC, never losing to them, which was huge. But a lot of people remember those big games, but I think truly the things that are most important are the relationships you built and some of the memories you have attached to that. Like seeing some of your best friends playing or scoring for the first time, or seeing guys that, were walk-ons that earned scholarships, and just those types of relationships are the things that are, truly incredible. And just, some of the things I truly take pride in. And during my time at East Carolina, because I had some great older guys when I was there, CJ Stroud, JT Boyd, guys like that really, trying to kind of help me in my development. So some of my fondest memories are what I was able to do, or what I hope I was able to do for some of the other guys, like Deontay Smith, like watching him be successful is one of the things I take a lot of pride in, and just so happy for him and the stuff that he's done. And then honestly, one of my fondest memories is Tyler Snead, like a guy that came in and was a walk-on and played, earned a scholarship, and had all kinds of success and did things the right way. And, those are the things you truly remember that. And the guys you came in with, Eric Lindzen, Joe Carter, Stephen Baggett, Bo Huffman, all those guys that I still talk to this day. I mean, that's probably the biggest takeaway I have from East Carolina, are the relationships and lifelong friends that I'll take away from there.
Garrett, I remember after I think it was the UNC game in 2018 when y'all won. Y'all lost to North Carolina A&T the previous week, and I know it was a very dark time, but I remember the emotion after y'all beat UNC in that 2018 game. Do you remember kind of just maybe taking a moment there to enjoy that moment? It was a good crowd, energetic crowd, big win at the time, and I'm sure it had to mean a lot to you as a senior.
Oh, it meant the world, especially like you kind of hit the nail on the head there to start it. That loss to North Carolina A&T was kind of devastating, just the way everything went about, and then coming back that next week and beating a really good North Carolina team, ACC opponent at home, beating them for the second time was really emotional, and just, taking that all in with the guys and Coach Montgomery and everything. It was awesome, man. And I think that was one of the times where you truly sit down and you're just thankful for Pirate Nation and the way that they show up and support us and everything like that. It was truly incredible. And I tell people this all the time, like, yeah, you can go to some of these other big Power 5 schools, but you're not going to have the same type of atmosphere as when you come over to Greenville.
Visit with Garrett McGhin, former ECU offensive lineman. All right, so we had a question on YouTube from Tony Hicks. He says, love watching Garrett as a player and seeing his football passion for ECU. He wants to know when you'll stop by this, or if you'll stop by this fall to see a Pirate game. Of course, you've got a career you're worried about, but any plans to stop by and see a game anytime soon, Garrett?
Oh, 100%, man. I haven't been able to get back to Greenville. I've been able to catch out the boys when they come down here to Florida and play those UCF nights, but I got to get back to Greenville and go get me some sub dogs and see my boy Steven and get a game in for sure. So hopefully everything will be able to time out. I'll be able to come up there this season.
Yeah, just what are your thoughts on the program now, Garrett, watching, from afar, and I'm sure still keeping in contact with a lot of former teammates, maybe some guys who are still around the program, just seeing it turn around. I know all the former players I talk to, I'm sure you're in the same boat, just, kind of proud of where the program's heading under this current regime.
Yeah, man, I'm 100% proud to be an ECU football alum, that's for sure. I think Coach Houston has really changed the culture there, and guys, I think the biggest thing, man, is guys are doing things the right way. And I mean that as the most general statement possible, because I mean that from top to bottom, whether it's, athletic training, player personnel, the players, coaches, support staff, everybody that goes into what makes ECU football great, they're all kicking ass. I think the nutrition side of things have increased. The strength and conditioning side with Big John has increased. And then obviously the coaches and players have increased. And it's just it's so unbelievably awesome to see the place that you love so much flourishing and turning into something that you knew it could be. You know, we always get all this crap about being like a non-Power 5 school or whatever, and we don't have this and that. Well, now we do have this and that. You know, we are winning. We are putting out great players. We are, you know, getting advancements in the facilities and stuff like that. So now to show, like, hey, we really are like that is such an amazing feeling.
Garrett, I love your passion, man. It's awesome to hear it in your voice again. So your career now, obviously, just wrapping up the season with the Renegades. Take us through what's next for you. You know, do you look at all at getting another shot in the NFL, or are you know, kind of maybe over that at this point? What's your mindset as far as your football career and kind of everything that's happened for you with the XFL and going forward?
I'm extremely thankful for my football journey. You know, there's a lot of people that wish I've been able to do the things that I've done and in the shoes that I'm in. So I just want to say I'm truly thankful for that. But I still think I got a lot of football to play. I think I've done nothing but get better, gain more confidence playing in these spring leagues. And when I went back to the NFL with the Giants, was playing well at, you know, kind of doing the same type of role when I was in East Carolina, was playing right tackle, left guard, and center for the Giants and there in the preseason. So had some series of unfortunate events with concussion and stuff like that, so had to come back to another spring league in the XFL. But, man, I felt like I've been playing good ball and just getting better as a football player, so I'm trying to get back to the NFL. As of right now, just a free agent. Been talking to my agent a good bit, and teams are interested. So I'm confident that a call will come. Just got to be ready for the opportunity, which I will be.
Yeah, just 27 years old, Garrett, right in your prime, man. So still got plenty of time left. And, hey, looking forward to seeing where you land next. I know we'll continue to stay in touch, but it's been awesome to catch up today, Garrett. Again, I know Pirate Nation enjoys hearing from you always, and we're continuing to follow your story. But, hey, if you get back this fall, we'll have to get you in studio and, you know, maybe have you on the pregame show, do some tailgating.
No doubt. I definitely want to come on and see you again, and hopefully I can meet little Igoe for the first time, man.
Yeah. No, we'll set that up. He'll be excited to meet Garrett McGhin. But, nah, man, this was awesome. Hey, I appreciate it, Garrett. We'll talk down the road, man. Thanks so much.
Of course, brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
That's Garrett McGhin, one of the best, and definitely a passionate Pirate. It's always awesome to hear from Garrett McGhin, and great to see him continuing to live out his dream at the professional level. Hopefully he gets another shot at the NFL here this summer. All right, on the other side, we'll come back. We'll talk about conference expansion. If you missed it at the beginning of the show, we announced we're going to do kind of a series where we look at the American Athletic Conference, the 6 incoming teams over the next week and a half. We're going to start with Charlotte, kind of look at what they bring to the American. Everybody's like, what is this new American Athletic Conference going to look like? We're going to give you an in-depth report on each of the teams coming in, what to expect as they appear on ECU's schedule. Of course, Charlotte will be on the football schedule this fall. So we'll talk about the Charlotte 49ers and some more Pirate football. On the other side, you're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
This year, Pirate Baseball said goodbye to 3 seniors. One of them was pitcher Garrett Saylor.
This is the Pirate Report on 94.3 The Game. Sponsored by the IBX Pirate Partners, Moore's Old Time Barbecue Chicken and Seafood, Fantastic Sam's Cut and Color, and Carib Sea and Emerald Isle.
After the season came to an end, Pirate pitcher Garrett Saylor gave a heartfelt thank you to all of Pirate Nation.
Yeah, it's awesome. Shows the support that they have for us. I mean, we've been playing in front of this crowd for 5 years now. It's special. It means something. That's why you put on this uniform to play in big crowds like this. We knew going in that UVA was going to be a good opponent, and they were going to attract a good crowd. And it's awesome to see some purple and gold out there too. I know we had a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, what Pirate Nation has done for us three, we can't thank Pirate Nation enough. We love each person, and it's just awesome having us support.
Garrett definitely left his impact on us as well, both with his performance on the field and all he did off the field. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Pirate Report. I'm Philip Pilkington.
It's Wednesday, and you know what that means.
Hey,
It's Kids Night at Moore's Barbecue. Let us take care of dinner tonight for your little ones. Every Wednesday night, kids 10 and under eat free with the purchase of an adult meal. So come into one of our 5 locations in Winterville, New Bern, Morehead City, Swansboro, and Jacksonville. Bring the whole family. There's always enough great food for everyone. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Attention weekend warriors. Before you tackle those garden or yard projects that are coming up, go by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your Coyote dealer. Right now, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet has new Coyote diesel 4-wheel drive tractors that you can own for under $10,000. But don't wait. This offer will be over soon. Visit the home of Coyote at East Carolina Tractor and Fleet on Highway 264 across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. They dig dirt.
We're live with Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back into the Hoist the Colors show on 94.3 The Game. We had an awesome chat with Garrett McGhin, former ECU offensive lineman, in our previous segment. Great to catch up with Garrett. Looking forward to seeing where he lands as he continues his pro career. Just won a championship with the Arlington Renegades of the XFL. In our first segment, we each gave our 5 most important Pirate football players to step up going into the 2023 season. So we'll rerun over that list maybe at the very end of the show, but you can hear that in our opening segment. We'll have that in podcast form later on wherever you get your podcast apps as well. We're going to have a new segment now where we're kind of looking at conference expansion. Of course, the American Athletic Conference is changing, and with it, out are Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati, and in are 6 new teams: UAB, FAU, Charlotte, North Texas, Rice, and UTSA. So you got a lot of mixed feelings about the new teams coming in, who's leaving. But what really do these 6 new teams incoming, what do they bring to the conference? We're going to start to kind of dive into this as we wrap up the show the next week and a half before summer break, and we're going to start with the Charlotte 49ers. What we're going to do is we're going to look at kind of what each sport is bringing from a football, basketball, baseball perspective. We'll also talk about the fact that will Charlotte and ECU be an actual rival? If you got a comment or question about conference expansion, anything, drop it on YouTube, Facebook. We'll get to it, or tweet at us. So, big news yesterday. Let's get to this before we kind of just talk about Charlotte and ECU and if there's anything there as far as a potential rivalry in time. So the basketball coach, Ron Sanchez, what has he been there, 4 or 5 years now? 5-year tenure. Just had a really good season, right? 22 wins, I think.
Yeah, they won the CBI.
22 wins, but he announced yesterday, June 6th. Mind you, ECU's basketball team just reported June 4th. So, this is quite possibly some of the worst timing you can have. Ron Sanchez announced yesterday he is resigning from his position as the head men's basketball coach at Charlotte. And basically, I don't know if there's more to the story here or what, but he's going back to Virginia to be an assistant coach under Tony Bennett, who he's worked for years. But just kind of odd that he would do this now versus earlier in the offseason, and also you kind of leave Charlotte basketball, which we'll get into, is a historically strong program in a tough spot entering a new league, Philip.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes there. Had he walked off the court after the CBI and said, hey, you know what, Tony Bennett offered me a job, I can get paid more, see ya. You wouldn't really been surprised. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you and your family, but it really is a weird time to leave.
Yeah, I mean, all we really have, at least from an official perspective, is Charlotte Athletic Director Mike Hill saying, he carefully rebuilt the program into a 22-game winner. He led with class, dignity, and devotion to our young men. His decision to step down from Charlotte was a difficult one for him and everyone associated with our program. We wish him and his family every happiness. So, I mean, doesn't seem like there's a a divide at all with Charlotte and Sanchez. Maybe he did it for family reasons or something. Maybe the more will come out. But just odd. Coming off a 22-win season, and really you look at Charlotte historically, Philip, basketball is what they kind of built their hat on or hung their hat on as far as success in history. Back to Conference USA days, previously a rival of sorts with ECU in basketball, but they were always a strong basketball program. And when you look at this edition, we'll get into the football side of things here in a minute, but I do think basketball, for the American, it would be good to see Charlotte get back to maybe what it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I grew up in the area. They made the tournament in 2001. I'm a little young to remember that. They made it again in 2004 and 2005. So anytime you can be a multi-bid league in basketball, it's big. Obviously, we're missing some key pieces with the departure of Cincinnati, Central Florida, and, of course, the Houston Cougars. And you were hoping that Charlotte could be one of those teams to kind of revamp it back. I don't think they're ever going to be at the level of Houston. They have only made one Final Four that came back in 1977. But you would at least hope they could, bring this to a multi-bid league.
It was really under Bobby Lutz that they had a lot of their success, and just tournament appearances from the late 90s to the early 2000s, had a great fan base, and for whatever reason have not been able to recapture that since. I still remember some of those great Charlotte teams rolling in the Minges Coliseums, and honestly it was a fun game. It was it was a regional matchup in basketball. I remember they always brought a crowd. I thought ECU fans showed up well, and even when Charlotte and ECU have met in non-conference play in recent years, I think the basketball side of things, it can be a fun matchup. I mean, I think Charlotte has a pretty good basketball fan base. Now, you look at football, they really just started playing football. They haven't had a lot of success. Have they even been to a bowl game? I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, they went to the Bahamas Bowl in 2019. Don't quote me on the year, but roughly around that time they went to the Bahamas Bowl.
So, one bowl game and new head coach and Biff Poggi, whatever his name is, former high school coach at St. Francis Academy, which was a high school powerhouse, and he's got a lot of recruiting connections. But, just not a lot of tradition there and not a very big stadium. I'm very interested to see, not this year, but next year, ECU will play at Charlotte. What is the attendance going to look like? Is it going to be all ECU fans? And, I don't know. I'm excited there's a regional team in the conference, especially from a football perspective, but at the same time, I just don't know how long it's going to take me if I ever can get excited about Charlotte 49ers football versus ECU.
Yeah, for me, I think that Charlotte specifically doesn't bring much, but the fact that we do have a game that is now drivable distance, other than Navy, a team that they did say we are going to play every year. So that part about it's cool. But, as you mentioned, the stadium is extremely small. Jerry Richardson Stadium's a new stadium. It's very pretty. But at the end of the day, it doesn't even meet FBS regulations. They were supposed to be at that already at this point due to COVID. The NCAA gave them some, more leeway time just because they didn't know if they're going to be able to get people to come and expand it. And there's room for expansion, but hopefully they do it because, I went to a baseball game earlier this year. We're walking by the football stadium looking at my dad, and I'm like, dude, they're hosting ECU in 2 years. I said, we will bring more people down than they just have seats. I mean, that doesn't count if they have anybody show up. We're going to bring more than, I think it's only seats like 10,000 people, 15,000 people. It's like, we'll bring 30,000 easy, and there's a huge ECU alum presence in Charlotte.
There really is. I mean, all you have to do is look at the games ECU's played at the Panther Stadium where they're filling up half the stadium. And I do know Charlotte has plans to expand Jerry Richardson Stadium in the future, but, how realistic is that in short order? What I am excited about is baseball. I think Charlotte's a tremendous baseball program, especially under Coach Woodard, who's taken that program to a new level. They were a 2 seed in Greenville. Recently, they were a 3 seed that eliminated Clemson this year, and we know that the American needs better baseball programs. So I am excited about having a regional baseball program that has talent that will help ECU's postseason aspirations by virtue of playing these games.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing. Part of the reason I think we did not stand a chance this year, even going to the conference tournament, is the fact that it was going to be a one-bid league, barring a bid steal, which obviously Tulane did that. Charlotte is one of the teams that will definitely help that cause because the big thing is we're not losing to powerhouse. Really, I mean, Houston, I guess, is decent. UCF's decent, but Charlotte is better than any of the teams leaving in baseball. And, on top of that, it's a fun little trip to go down there and spend a weekend. I went down in 2020, half a week before the world shut down, and we went to those games and had a good time, and, I really enjoyed it. So it'll be fun to be able to go and play baseball down there. Unfortunately, I kind of wish it was going to stay an 8-team conference. Maybe that'd be the team we'd get paired with, where they'd make a trip here every year and we would make a trip there. Unfortunately, that won't happen, so we'll only go there once every other year.
Charlotte 49ers, they'll be in the American Athletic Conference starting this fall semester. All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back, wrap up the show on the other side. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Hear 94.3 The Game anytime on the IBX Media app.
Is it free?
Yes.
The only app you need.
I love the app.
Download it for free in the App Store or Google Play and get to your favorite radio station in 2 clicks. All your sports, music, talk, and podcasts, including the latest from Stephen Igoe and Hoist the Colors, and year-round coverage from the East Carolina Sports Network. Listen live anytime, anywhere to ENC Radio's best.
I always listen.
Download the app.
The IBX Media app.
Prices are rising in almost every sector of our economy, so it's important to save any way you can. I'm Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical, and I'm here with money-saving tips. Take advantage of technology to keep your HVAC unit running at peak efficiency. Not only can a programmable thermostat reduce energy costs for your home, but it can actually extend the life of your system. By optimizing temperatures throughout the day and week, your system experiences less stress and wear throughout the year. For more information on these and other money-saving tips, or to schedule service, go to advancedmechnc.com or call us at 252-355-9191. We serve Greenville and surrounding areas in HVAC installation, service, and repair. Being customer committed for over 30 years means you can depend on Advanced Mechanical for your heating, air conditioning, and air quality needs. Contact us at advancedmechnc.com or 252-355-9191.
At U.S. Cellular, you can get a new phone for $830 off, no trade-in needed, which means you don't have to trade in your old phone for a new one. That must sound really good to you, guy with a junk drawer.
I'm just going to sell it to my sister.
That's a twist.
Who am I kidding? It's going right in the junk drawer.
Get $830 off any phone, no trade-in needed. U.S. Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Spring is here and summer is right on our doorstep. We're all looking forward to outside and enjoying the warm weather and long days. Let the team at Cellular Warehouse help you start enjoying these days by eliminating the 2 to 3 hour wait in the local store. They come right to your home or office and handle all of your cellular needs. Best of all, their front door service is free of charge. Call Toby Williams today at 252-799-7051 and let his team start making life easy again. That's 252-799-7051. Cellular Warehouse, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent.
Calling all future little leaders of the world. At Walton Academy, our teachers embrace who you are and empower you through enriching knowledge by exploring the world through technology and hands-on learning. Small and safe classrooms allow our teachers to embrace our students' individualities. Walton Academy is now enrolling kindergarten through 5th grade students. Let's encompass your potential together here at Walton Academy. Go to waltonacademyk5.com to schedule a tour today.
The Pirates play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igoe.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the Hoist the Colors radio program on 94.3 The Game. Philip Pilkington in studio with us today. Clark Willis producing. Dom also producing behind the glass, helping us out through some difficulties earlier on YouTube. We got it figured out, though. So been a fun show today. We were talking conference expansion, and, you know, something I wanted to bring up before we took our break, but now we'll discuss it now. So Charlotte was added by the American over a potential team like App State. And the reason I was told is basically Charlotte has the potential to invest more. We had Mike Oresco on a few weeks ago. He kind of talked about the need for the programs entering the American to invest. They have the financial structure to invest because you have to invest big in the American. I don't know if App State has that. We'll get into that discussion tomorrow with David Ware from App State Mania, who will join us to preview the game this fall between the Mountaineers and Pirates. But I don't know. I mean, I look at the Sun Belt and I like the setup of the league better than what the American is going for, but I'm not going to doubt Mike Oresco. You look at the Sun Belt, Philip, you got App, James Madison, Marshall, teams in smaller areas but more passionate fan bases and honestly better programs historically. it's just going to be interesting to see kind of how the next 5-10 years unfold with what conference kind of ends up being better.
Yeah, it's weird because the conference or the Sun Belt kind of is like a poor man's SEC, right?
Yeah.
It's college towns, fan bases that have been there for a while. Now, some of those schools have had success in the FCS levels, but it has still brought in passionate fans. Whereas, you look at the American and you have a team like Rice, which is in Houston. You have a team like Temple that is in Philadelphia. I mean, a lot of these are in big markets, and big markets do well for NFL teams. They don't always do well for college athletics.
It's just so interesting because you look at the American, and ECU is really the outlier, the major outlier. It's every team is in a major market except for East Carolina. ECU is basically a Sun Belt team, as far as geography, and a market, or an SEC team, if you want to use that comparison. Whereas all these teams are in major markets, and it's kind of a weird fit. We talked about Charlotte a minute ago, and they fit the American model. My question is it going to work? We saw teams like UCF take off. Houston and Memphis, who were just okay in Conference USA in recent years, once they got to the American, they invested and kind of capitalized. But still, when I go to a Houston ECU football game, nobody in Houston, Texas knows that the Houston Cougars are playing a football game. They care about Texas. They care about the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it's still just a different vibe. So I still don't know if the passion is going to be there for Charlotte or teams like that, but it's interesting. The Americans shooting their shot, and I'm eager to see how it's going to work out.
Yeah, I'm too. And I was kind of telling you off the air that there are a lot of – well, sorry, they're not a lot. There are passionate Charlotte fans, guys I know that have not missed a game since day one. The problem is there's about 2,000 of those guys.
Yeah.
And they will go to every home football game. They will come to every game here in Greenville, any game that is a road game that is drivable. But unfortunately, is there enough to really establish what they need to establish to hang in a conference where the TV deal is $7 million?
We'll see Charlotte and ECU tango on the football field this fall. Tomorrow we'll look at the UAB Blazers, and we'll also preview the App State football game. This has been Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 12 noon.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igoe. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Attention weekend warriors. Before you tackle those garden or yard projects that are coming up, go by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your Coyote dealer. Right now, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet has new Coyote diesel 4-wheel drive tractors that you can own for under $10,000. But don't wait. This offer will be over soon. Visit the home of Coyote at East